Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. It's time for Doctor's Clinic Call. DW is your host from Denver, Colorado. DW.
Everybody, what a joy it is to be a part of what we're doing when it comes to getting people healthier and giving them a chance and an opportunity to fight things off that come your way. You never know what's going to hit you. You don't know when it's going to hit you, but it's nice to hit things from different angles. And at Sisel International, Tom Maurer and the mission that he has is to master two things. One, no longer putting toxic, hazard materials, putting contaminants and things on your body that would cause harm and interrupt the normal body functions. And his second mission, to add to that, is to extract those toxins that have gotten into the body, which is a little bit bad grammar, but have gotten in the body, out. And so we're going to get into that tonight, and we're going to get into some things concerning cancer. And Doc and I have had some conversations today, and this might go more than one or two calls because there's so much. I got an email, and I'll share it with Doc later, but just so many people want to know what we can do and how we can help somebody, have a fighting chance and hit it from another angle. And there's times that you do resort to some medicines for emergencies, but there's other things you can do, and there's other pathways that you don't have to necessarily go that direction if you don't want to. But Dr. Kurt Fisnick, welcome to the call. It's the Doctor's Clinic, and where the world is your waiting room. Welcome to the call.
Hey, I like that. Where the world is your waiting room. Thanks, DW. I love that. So thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited about things. So you want to pop right into some of the cancer things, and it's we're starting to look at this. Let's just start maybe with one of the basic questions out there that a lot of people have. Some people don't even know what cancer is. Some not even sure where cancer comes from, how it's contracted, or should we say this, or what are some of the common causes of cancer? So you might just want to hit on some of those, just really what might appear to be elementary to you, but for a lot of us that, there's just more information we can gather. So Doc, what do you think? Some of the causes of cancer and how sometimes people get it.
Okay. Well, DW, quite simply is that, in our body, we have genetics. We have, your grandma and grandpa got together and they conceived and they had your mom, and your other grandma and grandpa got together and they had your dad, and then your mom and dad got together and they conceived and they had you, and they pass on genetics. And so you're getting what they call alleles, little pieces from each relative, each ancestor, right? And as you pass them on, right, what happens is that genetic code can get messed up. And so the genetics that you inherited from your mom's side of the family may not mix exactly right with the genetics that you inherited from your dad's side of the family. And that's really, a couple weeks ago we talked about kind of the Darwin theory, the all or none, the recessive, the dominant. And that's kind of that. But the other thing is that when you take a look at environmental factors, we're going to hit on this, but when you take a look at environmental factors, every day we're exposed to different toxins, whether they're chemical or maybe it's radiation, different things like that. They've even shown that stress can cause toxic effects, and what it does is it causes mutations in your genetic code. So it messes that stuff up, that language of you, your book of life, those 23 chapters of your life basically get messed up. And when it happens, really quite simply for everybody in the call, you don't have to know, what causes the cancer cell to grow. You just know that, hey, that code got mixed up somewhere, and now all of a sudden that cell won't quit dividing, and it just divides, and all of a sudden now you got cancer. So that's kind of a real simple explanation, and I could get into it. We could spend, like DW said, we could spend days just talking about that, but that gives you an idea, right, DW?
Yeah, that's pretty good. But let me ask you kind of an interesting question here. Are some cancers self-induced because of behaviors, exposures, environments? Are there causes like that? The obvious question is, if someone's smoking 42 packs of cigarettes a day, obviously they're going to be in trouble at some point. So that is that a question we want to jump into a little bit, or you want to save that for another time?
No, I think that's a perfect time to bring it up because, it's interesting. It's interesting. 30 years ago, when I graduated from chiropractic college, that was the big thing. When you get a patient in, they're over the age of they said, I think at that time it was like 50, maybe 55, and at that time they said, okay, always be worried about cancer, always be worried about about it metastasizing somewhere else. I'm a chiropractor, so they worried about it metastasizing to the spine, right? And now people have just accepted, for some reason, some weird reason, people have just accepted that, oh, it's cancer, it's genetic, I can't do anything about it. But like DW said, there's a lot of risk factors. Of course, that if you smoke, you're going to increase your risk factor. I mean, it's like taking and poking your finger in God's chest and saying, you can't kill me, right? That's what you're doing when you're smoking. But I understand it's an addiction. I used to be a smoker. I mean, heck, at one time, DW, I smoked 3 packs a day, right? And I tell people that. I mean, I never really smoked 3 packs a day. I lit up 3 packs a day, but you never really smoked 3 packs a day. And so when I decided to quit 27 years ago, it's just, well, I'm going to figure out how to do it, and boom, I quit. But when we're talking about cancer, check this out. I printed this off, and DW, I mean, you led me right into this piece of paper that I printed. People are concerned that they have an increased risk of developing the same kind of cancers that maybe somebody in their family or their extended family had. Check this out. Breast cancer is the most common female cancer, right? And it affects 1 out of 8 women in the United States. Only 5 to 10% are considered hereditary, right? And hereditary factors, like we talked about, are caused by mutation in the gene, and it's passed on from generation to generation. But think about that, with that whole thing with Angelina Jolie and, having the mastectomy and that. I mean, 5 to 10% is hereditary. That's it, right? And then we talk about ovarian cancer. It's the ninth most common cause of cancer in women. It ranks 5th in the cause of cancer death in women. It doesn't run in the family very often. Only 10 to 15% of ovarian cancer is hereditary, right? So you think about it, it's a really, really low risk. Endometrial cancer, 1 to 5% is hereditary. Pancreatic cancer, they say that, check this one out, and this is a bad one. I mean, they say if you get diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, your chances of making it 6 months are pretty much slim to none, right? But approximately 1 in 76 people, 1 in 76, I mean, that's, holy cow, that's a lot, will get pancreatic cancer in their lifetime. And again, it doesn't run in the family. It doesn't usually run in the family. It's not hereditary, right? But this mutation in your gene, right, this mutation can cause up to about 10% of the pancreatic cancer. We'll look at prostate cancer. Most common cause of cancer found in American men. And it's the second leading cause of death in men in America. It develops by chance. It does not run in families. So just because your dad or your grandpa had it, it doesn't mean that you're going to get it, right? But if you have these abnormal gene mutations, right? Again, you hear me saying that. Skin cancer, it's divided into non-melanoma and melanoma. Non-melanoma cancers are the most common, and there's 2 types of non-melanoma, which is the basal cell and the squamous cell. Again, it's really not. It doesn't run in the family. Stomach cancer, also called gastric cancer, starts in the stomach, and it's caused by a bacterium, right? When we talk about Lyme's disease, that's a bacterium, not a bacteria, not a virus, but it's called a bacterium. Some stomach cancers are hereditary, but mostly it's caused by gene abnormalities. Again, this whole mutation thing that we're talking about. It increases the risk of 1 or more types of the gastric cancer. Colon cancer, only 5% of colon cancer runs in the family. So you start thinking about that, is it genetic? Well, Yeah, but based on what I just said, I mean, you're talking less than, I mean, really, let's just use a big number. Let's just say less than 20% runs in the family, right? And so, like DW is saying, where does all this cancer come from then? So I'm going to say this, DW, it's a question I got for you, and this is an easy one. This isn't my stump you question. You got a 50% chance of getting this right.
All right.
You ready?
Yes,
all right,
sir.
I'm going to throw it at you. Think about this. Now, think about it before you give me your answer. All right. So if I've got a gene, the genetic code that causes cancer, and I know exactly what it is, and I'm one of those really bright scientists, and I say, okay, so I'm going to wipe out this gene that causes cancer. You think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, 50%, I'm going to say you need to alter the gene and not wipe it out. You need to correct it and pull the positive side of the gene versus destroying the whole gene.
Yep. You want to fix the mutation, right?
That's my educated guess because I'm lucky.
Yeah, and you guessed that one right. But about 10 years ago, well, not longer than that, about 20 years ago, I was at a medical convention, and they had a group of us, medical and chiropractic, and we're all sitting in the room, and the researcher said, okay, he asked the same question. He said, raise your hand if you'd like to see the genetic code for cancer wiped out. And I would say probably 90% of the room raised their hand. And then of course the other 10%, us guys, we raised our hand on no, don't wipe that out. And the research said exactly. He said for you 90% that raise your hand that you want to wipe out the code, you just destroyed the human race, because the same genetics that causes cancer also causes life. Right?
Well,
and it's the mutation. It's the function where you say, did somebody forgot to turn the light switch off and that cell won't quit dividing? So the key is, what turns the light switch on? Isn't that cool?
That's pretty awesome. That's real awesome. Now you brought up 4 or 5 other questions, and we're into cancers, and a lot of people are doing research and stuff, and sometimes, let's save this question for later, but just a little thought. Cancer causes challenges in people's bodies, but that usually cascades or dominoes into other challenges that, may put stress on the heart or stress on the lungs or stress on the, brain function and the whole bit. But you hear a lot of this. There's people saying, man, cancer rates are going up. And then you got the dudes out there going, nah, cancer rates are going down. How come we have such conflicting reports out there on what direction the cancer rates really are?
Yeah, and part of that, DW, is really, what are they really looking at, right? I mean, they're saying by the year 20. This is, I think it was like the World Health Organization actually was the one that said it, and they said that cancer rates in the world are going to go up 70% by the year 2030. That's the World Health Organization is saying cancer rates will go up by 70% by the year 2030, right? So for those people that say, oh, no, cancer rates are going down, we're winning the war on cancer, I just proved you wrong, right? But did I really? Because when you start talking about cancer, are they talking about cancer treatment, or are they talking about the rates of actually cancer developing? And so the thing that they're talking about is when they say that we're winning the war on the cancer, here's the deal on it, is that they've actually improved the mortality. They've decreased the drop in cancer mortality by 22%, according to the American Cancer Society. In the last 20 years, we've decreased the death rate by cancer by 22%. Now, cancer rates are going up. There's more people that are going to have it, but they're figuring out how to treat it. Now, again, those numbers are kind of skewed, right, because they're using 5-year survival rates, right? And And so when they say, oh, they've improved the rate at, which people aren't dying, yeah, for 5 years, right? And I'll tell you what, DW, have you ever been in a situation where they said, yeah, you're going to die? And I know that you and I have, both been in situations like that. And you're going, no, I'm not. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not their decision. They can make an analysis based on experience, but you and I have our hands on some things that puts us in a position to where we can start winning versus losing, where we can change the odds a little bit, if that's what you want to say. And I'm talking from personal experience. I'm not trying to diagnose somebody else's challenge and what they're going through. But, I mean, even with the Cancer Treatments of America clinics and things like that are out there, they're approaching it totally different and coming from more of a natural point of view versus the narcotics and synthetics. And I just heard some doctors talking the other day on television, and they say it won't be too far down the road, and they won't even be doing chemo because of how poisoning it is and what it's doing and the research after doing it for so many years. And so everyone's looking at it different. And that's why this call is about tonight, is get you to think a little different, maybe look at it a little different. I'm not telling you to run from your doctors or anything like that. Just telling you we've got other ways of approaching some things. And so, we can't say treat or cure, but what can a person do to help lower the risk of some of the cancers? Doc, can we get into some of that? Like, in other words...
Yeah, I think... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like, things may not be hereditary. Well, they're coming from somewhere. So are there some things, and of course, that's part of the Maurer mission. You're talking right up you and I's alley when we get into this topic, but what are some of the things that we can do? And I'll jump in and add here as we go along, but fire it at me.
Well, and I think that's the main thing, right? I mean, we take a look at it. All right, so what things do we do in our life? Well, we've already talked about smoking, right? I mean, it's one of those things that you just go, okay. I mean, I know that there's a risk factor. It's kind of like I said, poking your finger in God's chest and saying, okay. But, what about the other things? Well, I'll tell you what. Back in 1999, and you guys have heard me talking about this whole, genetic code and the 23 chapters of your life, your book of life, and that, and I had my genetics actually tested. I actually had mine tested. It cost me a couple $1,000s back in 1999, and you can get it done for a lot cheaper now. There's labs being set up. I used one lab for about $450. They'll test your genetics, and what they do is they come back and they say, hey, DW, here's where the mistakes are. Here's where the mutations are in your genetic code. And then what they'll do is they'll say, here's your risk factors, right? Because they're, like I said, it's light switches, right? It's not that the light switch is on. It's not that the light switch is off. But they just say, here's one of your light switches, right? And if you leave this light switch turned on, chances are you're going to have some problems over here. So then what this lab does is they come back and they say, okay, so here's what you want to do. You want to avoid this. You want to do this and this and this. So I'm going to use myself as an example, right? They said that one of the worst careers I could ever pick would be being a truck driver, right? And because of being a truck driver, as those tires are spinning on the highway, what happens is that with rubber, it's not made out of real rubber. It's not from a rubber tree anymore. It's synthetic rubber. And as the rubber runs on the road, cadmium is given off out of those tires. And guess what? These truckers are breathing that in every single day. They're breathing that in from that road grime, right? And my liver doesn't know what to do with that, right? And so it increases my risk of certain types of cancer. So I know that based on my genetic code, my book of life, my 23 chapters. And so I can then decide, okay, I'm not going to do that, right? Not that I would have been a truck driver, but I know for sure I better not be, or I'm probably not going to be around. And so you can look at the different factors and you can decide that stuff. But what's really cool is, like DW is saying, take a look at the things that we know are dangerous. What are the things that can trigger cancer? Well, number one, we know that Roundup, glyphosate made by Monsanto, and I mean, if you watch my Facebook post, you know I don't like what they do, but this product, it blows holes in your digestive system, and they say, according to the conferences that have been going on out there, they're saying the gluten conference that was held a year and a half ago out in Phoenix, they said that 100% of people now are sensitive to gluten, right? And why are we sensitive to gluten? Well, because of Roundup. And so it blows holes in your gut, and it causes leaky gut. Stuff leaks in that you can absorb. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and avoid things that are made with GMO. You want to try and avoid things that are made with Roundup. You want to use a product that we have and kind of touch on this a little bit, and I'll let DW do the product stuff because he's better at that. But we have a product called Organic Cleanse. You throw that on your vegetables. It pulls that residue off of there, the pesticide residue. I mean, here we are talking about the C word, cancer, and all of a sudden we're talking about something you wash your vegetables in, right? You go in your bathroom. What do you do in there? Well, you brush your teeth, you wash your hair, you wash your hands, all these different things. And you look at these antibacterial soaps, and like discussion DW and I were having earlier today, part of the problem is that maybe we're too cleanly. Maybe we're killing off the healthy bacteria, right? On the outside of your skin, you're supposed to have a layer of friendly microorganisms that protect you. It kind of acts as a semi-permeable type of a protection. It lets the good stuff in, lets the bad stuff out, keeps the bad stuff from getting in, type of a thing. Well, you have that in your gut, and if you kill that off with Roundup, guess what? It's not working. And so those types of things, the personal care products and the foods that we eat and the nutrition that we're not getting and just that natural, I'm going to call it kind of a buildup of innate intelligence, your body's natural intelligence that says, to kill that stuff off, and it's not working. It's not working right. So DW, I'm just going to throw it back in your hands. I'm going to pass it off to you like a good quarterback would, and I'm going to let you take that and just talk about some of the products that we have, how it can really change some of this stuff.
Well, I mean, when you jump into it and you talk about the Maurer mission, it's twofold. Number one, no longer is it necessary for you to put anything on your body that that has any toxins in it, or hazard materials, or contaminants in it. And so we've got those things. It's like our bar soap that we have. That is crazy good, and a little bit goes a long way. You put a little on, you spread it out, and it absolutely works. The even the deodorant we have, they got this 24-hour deodorant that's out there that you can buy that's got a bunch of aluminum in it. And go ahead, research what aluminum can do to your lungs and to your heart and to your kidney, to your livers, to your digestive tract. It's just absolutely crazy. Even if you use the deodorant we have, is it maybe twice a day. Just get the coverage that you possibly would need. But there's a big debate, and the big debate on is, should I be a 100% organic, or I don't have time for that, so I should go to the store and buy stuff. Well, Dr. Kurt just mentioned a product, and it's called Organic Cleanse, and it is a game changer. Just a cap full of it goes a long ways in just a small little tub of water, and you can wash your fruits and vegetables. So if you're 100% organic, that means pretty good chance it's going to have some, some bugs and stuff in it, and things that can possibly open the door to some tapeworms and whatever else. If you're not going organic, that means you're going to have pesticides on it. In other words, a bunch of poisonous sprays. And what people don't realize, our fruit will travel 1,700 miles before it even reaches the U.S. border, and we don't know what was sprayed on it. We don't have a clue what they did. They have different rules in other countries where we get our fruits and vegetables, and it's picked even before it's ripe, so it can last the test of time to get to us. And so they'll cover it with waxes, they'll cover it with whatever. Well, put it in the Organic Cleanse. So if it's got whatever sprays on it, it is going to cleanse it off to put you in the best position to eat the most tasteful, tasty, healthiest fruits and vegetables you can get your hands on. Also, don't be afraid to wash your chicken and your fish and your meats in that as well, and gets rid of the bacteria and some of those things. And so, you want to do that. The laundry detergent. People don't know how much the body absorbs. You can go to a restaurant and you can smell chlorine and all this stuff in a glass of water there, and don't drink. Just leave it there for a second. But take your 2 fingers and stick them down in the water for 1 minute. And after 60 seconds, pull them out, and you won't even be able to taste or smell the stuff that's in the water because your body absorbed it like a sponge. So this is why we use our laundry detergent. That's crazy, off the charts good for you, because you're either sleeping in sheets or wearing clothes 24/7, and that stuff will rub into and onto your body slick as a whistle. Got a little granddaughter that she's just allergic when someone comes in at one point in her life with the wrong cologne on or any kind of cologne, she would break out because her body absorbed that, and they wouldn't even have to hold her. She'd just be around them within a few feet. So your body does absorb things, and when the proper bacteria is not on it, and your skin has been compromised and loaded with toxins from the beginning, hey, things change. Shampoos make a difference. I mean, who would sit there and stop a hazard material truck and go, stop, okay, and pull the guy over and say, hang on, and grab a cup, run up to the hazard material truck and say, and get a cup of it and drink it. Or just don't even drink it because you got a little more intelligence than that, but go ahead and just wash your head in it. You wouldn't do that. Are you kidding me? I mean, let me tell you, hazard materials are so bad that here in the Colorado area, and you jump on I-70 and you start going through the mountains, they won't let you go on I-70. You got to take back roads because you're not allowed in case there's a spill. But boy, they'll sure allow it in your toothpaste. They'll allow it in your shampoo and your conditioner and your laundry detergent. They'll allow it in the lotions and potions that you're using. Tom has created product after product after product after product to put you in a position where you no longer have to put things in or on your body that can compromise it and cause the mutations that Doc is speaking of today. And so it's a game changer for a lot of people. Another thing that, Doc, and you can jump in here if you want to add on to any of this, but my goodness, a couple things that happen when you talk about our Ficoidin product. And we've got a whole call on this, but Ficoidin's antifungal and antibacterial. It's going to go in there and blast the immune system. It has a broad spectrum of immune support, some of the same properties that mother's milk has in it, and it'll just blow into your immune system and build it up. And it's something that will help you if you're going through some cancer challenges and you're worried about them in the future. It's something that could possibly give you a fighting chance against it. Here again, we're not going to say it can cure or heal and all those kind of crazy things, but it'll give you a whole lot more fighting chance than anything you probably wrap your arms around and take. Another thing Doc got into a little bit last week, but our new Sisel Immune, it's crazy good. As a matter of fact, it helps in so many different areas, and you can go back to last week's call and kind of get into some of that, but I could not believe how it blasts the immune system and how it helps the immune system, and that's 90% of it. Is mutation can take over and can start dominating when your immune system is compromised and weakened. So you want to spend your time getting it stronger. Well, the water you're drinking makes a big difference. Are you kidding me? And he comes in here with a diatomic hydrogen water system that you're getting some of the best water you can put into your body to strengthen that side of things. And then we got another product that's Inner Chi for him and her. And for the guys, you're talking about prostate cancer and going through some of those challenges. I mean, say what you want. You don't want to go through the prostate cancer thing. If you are, you want to give yourself a fighting chance. So you're going to do the things that I just mentioned and maybe even, increase the dosage a little bit, but get the Inner Chi for him and her. There's properties and components in it that also will support you when you're going through some of this. And, and so Eternity, my goodness. And Doc, I'm going to have you close with that story with your dad on Eternity here in just a second. But what happens with it in resveratrol, there's certain cancers out there that this is one of the things that I believe is Harvard or one of the colleges have done some research on that helps with certain kind of cancers. And gives you more of a fighting chance to attack some of those things. Another product we have is a body shield. Goodness, Doc, you and I could spend a day talking about how body shields gives you life, but it also shields the body from heavy metals. And if you're using normal deodorant, you are slamming heavy metals into your glands underneath your arms, which are really absorbent. Because that's areas to where honestly, it's designed for sweat to come out, and they give you stuff to put on there to stop sweat from coming out. And so, well, if that stuff's not being sweated out through your armpits, where's it going? In your body, dude. That's what I'm saying. Not a good day when that happens. And then you've got the omega pluses that are going to give you the fighting edge. Another product called Influence builds up the immune system in another level, and has components that come in and kind of support people going through challenges with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. These are some of the onsets of how your body gets weakened, and once it gets weakened, then it's compromised, and then mutation that is there can start running rampant, and we're wanting to stop that. I'll tell you another thing Tom has done is pretty clever, is a lot of people they're honestly, they love their coffee. And you can go to California, and they list a lot of coffees on there that have carcinogens. They have cancer little crusties on them because of how they cook the bean. They roast it so high. Well, the coffee we have is infrared cooked, and instead of being 480 degrees blasted with a roaster, it's infrared cooked, and it doesn't have those carcinogens on it. So just that alone, is going to give you a chance against some of these things. So we love what we have our hands on product-wise, and there's a lot of things. But, Doc, let's just pop into one that most people have not heard of when it comes to giving you a fighting edge against the cancers. And I'll let you hit on, there's really, you talk about the triangle of life, the resveratrol, and then SpectraMax, which is a phenomenal product. It has the entire color wheel. They say if you wanted to heal yourself up of cancer, you would go to a farmer's market and you would buy every fruit and vegetable that varied in color, and you would have a small slice that every day. Well, first of all, that is outrageously expensive to do. Well, in our SpectraMax, we have that whole color wheel. And we have 74 essential trace minerals. Essential meaning they're not up for negotiation. Your body has to have them like oxygen in order to function properly. But let's pop into resveratrol and just what your dad went through a little bit. Let's hit that as we close up, Doc.
You bet. Well, DW, as you were talking, just a couple thoughts that went through my head. I mean, the one thing that, we said, well, it's not genetics, right? I mean, we answered that question. It's not genetics. I mean, we can really say less than 20%. So where's the other 80% coming from? Well, like DW just talked about, environmental factors is the number one cause. What's the number two cause? Infections, right? Because the infections, the viruses, they get in there and they cause mutations. And we talked about it last week. I'm not going to get into how viruses replicate, but go listen to last week's call. If you go to siseldoctorsclinic.com, listen to last week's call, and I hit that real hard on how viruses replicate, and they really replicate a lot like cancer cells, and so it can trigger cancer. And so when DW is talking about these things that boost immunity and get rid of the cancer-causing toxins that can trigger it, holy cow, and then he hit on the body shield. And I'll tell you what, kind of getting talking about my dad a little bit, but I was out with Tom here a couple weeks ago, spend some time with him. I just love being there because I just love the science behind everything that we do, and not just this, but everything that I do. I just love the science behind it. And we were talking about the body shield product we have. I kind of call it the unsung hero because a lot of people don't really pay attention to it much. It's just a little bottle of product, and what does it do? But back when they had that nuclear power plant that went down in Russia, Chernobyl, one of the things that they sprayed on everything was fulvic acid, because fulvic acid neutralizes radiation. And there's all sorts of studies on it from over in Russia and that part of the world that says that fulvic acid does this. Well, guess what? We're exposed to a lot of radiation today. I mean, with the electromagnetic waves, all these different things that we're being exposed to. I got my cell phone up against my head right now. And so fulvic acid that's found in Body Shield helps to neutralize that. And and I can't make any medical claims, but I can say, hey, that's what the research showed. But anyhow, talking about my dad has kind of a weird cancer. It's kind of, I guess I'm going to say it's halfway between lymphoma and leukemia. And it's not a real common cancer. And anyhow, so my dad was going to Mayo, and I asked Dr. Ansel, I was there with my dad, and I asked him, I said, well, so is there anything natural that helps out with this? And he said, oh no, he says I'm one of the experts in the world on this cancer. It's a rare cancer. There's not very many of us doctors that understand it, but he says I know what I'm talking about. There's nothing that helps it. And so I kind of in a way took his word for it. I did my own searches. I didn't find anything, but I was up there hanging around with Tom again, and he kind of knows how to search the internet. And what was really cool is 3 minutes, boom, he pops up a study, Harvard Medical School. Harvard Medical, and on the study it says resveratrol kills the type of cancer my dad has. Lists the cancer specifically and says it kills the type of cancer and prevents it from spreading. And I'm like, holy cow, really? Really, it's been out. I mean, we've known about it for 8 years, and the doctor who says he's an expert didn't know about this. Resveratrol, well, guess what? Eternity, one of our products, you drink a 1 ounce shot glass, and it gives you the equivalent. A 1 ounce shot glass gives you the equivalent of drinking about 40 bottles of wine in a 1 ounce shot glass. Did you know that DW? Each bottle contains enough resveratrol. It's equivalent to drinking 1,000 bottles of red wine. Crazy. And so I got my dad drinking just a ton of that. He's going through a bottle every week.
I love it. Isn't it awesome that we can give people something that's going to make an impact and give them a chance? And a lot of times we get cases that come to us, or people come to us with challenge they're having, and they're like stage 4 and the whole 9 yards. Man, prevention has to do with this, and I think maybe we might talk Doc into doing something about prevention and doing an entire show on prevention as well. But, Doc, we're running out of time here. I absolutely love this topic. I did not think we would be able to cover everything in just one 30-minute setting. However, you did absolutely fantastic. I'm just proud of you and just want to honor you for what you bring and your heart and the research that you do, and just celebrate what you're doing for all of us in Sisel to give us a better understanding of how we can go forward and just live healthier and have a little more happiness. And so we appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Dr. Kurt, anything you want to say in closing?
DW, thanks for having me on the call. And as always, for everybody that's on the call or listening to the recording, we're not trying to make any kind of claims, no claims of curing, treating, anything like that. We're just reporting that, hey, here's some research that says this might help you. And, and if it helps you, it might help somebody else. Let them know what we're doing. And you can always go to siseldoctorsclinic.com and all these, Rob Cohan, man, I appreciate you too. You always do a good job posting this. It'll be posted within a few minutes. DW, back to you.
It's awesome, everybody. Thank you for being part of the Doctor's Clinic, and it's just a blast where we get a chance to just take on topics that a lot of people are afraid to, and you go into doctors' offices and they won't give you a fighting chance. Well, we will, and we want to fight for you and with you. We believe in prayer and products. Big things are happening. We'll turn it back over to Rob Cohan as he closes out. He'll tell you how you can listen to this call through a SoundCloud and go into the proper website.
As Dr. Fizz said, SiselDoctorsClinic.com will be updated within about 15 minutes, and you can get it directly through there.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you all.
Thanks, DW. Oh, and
That's
Barb,
a wrap.
thank you.
Bye.
I know you'll be listening to the recording, too, so thanks, Barb.